welcome to Daily Briefing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. June 27th, 2026.
Today we're tracking a massive wave of historic layoffs hitting the European auto industry, and the U.S. government is stepping in to take direct control over who gets access to the next generation of AI models. Plus, it's a gorgeous morning here in Parker, Colorado, starting off at 64 degrees and clear skies, heading up to a high of 91 later with a 10-mile-per-hour breeze.
That AI regulation story is going to completely shake up the tech sector, so let's get into it.
All right, turning to U.S. news, the game itself ended in a high-stakes tie, but the real focal point was the massive wave of political protests erupting in the stadium.
Fans clearly used the massive global broadcast audience to voice their geopolitical frustrations. The networks had to constantly adjust their camera angles to avoid showing the most intense demonstrations in the stands.
Security had to step in several times to break up clashes between different factions of supporters. It really highlights how international sporting events are never just about the sport, especially when the nations involved have such complex diplomatic histories.
You have to wonder if tournament organizers are going to start implementing stricter crowd control measures for the knockout rounds. They don't want the political narratives to completely overshadow the actual tournament.
Speaking of the World Cup, the U.S. men's national soccer team just took a tough loss to Turkey in their latest preparation match. Manager Mauricio Pochettino is actually framing this defeat as an invaluable learning experience for the squad.
He pointed out in the press conference that
Exactly. And Pochettino has a history of using these exhibition losses to completely retool his midfield strategy. The team looked disjointed in the second half, giving away possession far too easily under the Turkish press.
I just hope the players can shake off the disappointment and focus on the tactical adjustments. The global tournament is right around the corner, and the USM&T cannot afford to make these same mistakes when it actually counts.
Elsewhere in the tournament, France absolutely roasted Norway, led by an unbelievable performance from Ousmane Dembele. He scored the fastest World Cup hat trick we've seen in 72 years.
3 goals in a matter of minutes is just staggering at this level of elite competition. Dembele has always had the raw talent, but this completely solidifies his starring role on the international stage.
Norway's defense looked completely paralyzed every time he touched the ball on the right wing. His acceleration and finishing were just on another level compared to anyone else on the pitch.
If he keeps playing with this kind of explosive speed, France is going to be incredibly tough to beat. They look like absolute favorites to take the whole tournament right now.
We also have a massive underdog story developing, with Cape Verde becoming the smallest nation ever to qualify for the World Cup knockout round. Their unexpected run represents a major milestone for the country's football program.
It's nothing short of a dream, especially considering the size of their infrastructure compared to the giants they're facing. It's a monumental achievement for a country with a population of just over 500,000 people.
The celebrations back in Praia must be absolutely deafening right now. They play with so much heart, and the entire neutral fan base is basically adopting them as their second team.
I know I'll be cheering for them in the next round. It's exactly the kind of Cinderella story that makes the World Cup so special.
Shifting from the pitch to the ice, the 2026 NHL draft has officially commenced. ESPN has a comprehensive tracker up for all 32 teams across the 7 rounds of selections.
This draft event is heavily focused on securing top young defensive prospects, which reflects how the league style of play is shifting. Franchises are desperate to lock down talent to build their professional rosters for the next decade.
The first round alone saw a few surprising trades as general managers jockeyed for better draft positions. Teams are clearly willing to gamble their future draft capital to get their hands on the top 3 prospects.
It's always fascinating to see the pressure placed on these.
Finally, in entertainment, the weekend U.S. box office is painting a very clear picture of shifting audience preferences. Disney's Toy Story 5 is already projected to cross the massive $300 million mark.
Meanwhile, DC's Supergirl is seriously underperforming, pulling in a very low $40 million opening. That's a massive disappointment for the studio, especially given the extensive marketing budget behind the film.
It shows that brand loyalty only goes so far if the early reviews and word of mouth don't hold up. Audiences are definitely getting more selective about which major film franchises they're willing to spend their money on.
Toy Story clearly still has that multi-generational pull, while the superhero fatigue we've been talking about seems to be hitting Supergirl hard. Coming up, a major diplomatic rupture in West Africa.
Looking at global news, Burkina Faso has officially severed diplomatic relations with France. This marks a major break from their former colonial power and what used to be a long-term security ally.
The military junta in Ouagadougou has been steadily distancing itself from Western partnerships for months now. This official severing of ties is the final nail in the coffin for French influence in the country.
It's part of a much larger geopolitical shift happening all across West Africa right now. We're seeing these nations pivot toward new security arrangements, often bringing in Russian or domestic mercenary groups instead of relying on European forces.
The economic fallout is going to be significant as well, considering the deep trade ties that existed. France is rapidly losing its strategic foothold in a region it dominated for decades.
Over in Europe, U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening a 100% import tariff on European nations. This is a direct retaliation against European countries trying to implement a digital services tax on American tech companies.
A 100% tariff would essentially double the cost of European goods in the U.S. market. It's a severe escalation that could easily trigger a full-blown trade dispute between the U.S. and its closest European allies.
The technology taxation issue has been brewing for years, with Europe arguing that American tech giants don't pay their fair share of local taxes. But this kind of aggressive ultimatum brings the entire situation to a boiling point.
European leaders are already scrambling to formulate a response, and the markets are definitely watching to see if this turns into an all-out trade war.
In the cyber warfare domain, Google Threat Intelligence just exposed a new piece of malware called STOCKSTAY. It's a .NET backdoor deployed by Turla, which is a well-known Russian state-sponsored hacking group.
They've been actively using this in cyber espionage operations targeting government and military networks in Ukraine. The backdoor is highly sophisticated and designed to stay hidden within critical infrastructure for months at a time.
The fact that Google is publicly detailing the architecture of STOCKSTAY might help Ukrainian defenders patch their systems. It's a constant game of cat and mouse between Russian offensive hackers and Western threat intelligence teams.
Releasing the technical details publicly burns the tool for the hackers, forcing them to spend time and money developing a new backdoor. It's a crucial part of the digital defense strategy for Ukraine right now.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just arrived in Seychelles for a 3-day official visit. He's there to hold bilateral talks and attend the nation's Golden Jubilee National Day celebrations.
This is a very clear signal of India's strategic diplomatic outreach in the Indian Ocean region. They're actively working to strengthen ties and counter the growing influence of other regional powers in those vital shipping lanes.
Maritime security and economic partnerships are definitely at the top of the agenda for these bilateral talks. When we come back, we'll look at a massive testing scandal rocking the education system in Maharashtra.
Turning to India, the Maharashtra teachers' eligibility test had to be postponed at the very last minute. Police discovered a question paper leak in Thane just one day before the exam was supposed to happen.
This completely disrupts the state's teacher recruitment process and leaves thousands of candidates in limbo. It also raises serious concerns over the security protocols of public examinations across the state.
Speaking of academic integrity, India now leads the world in global research paper retractions. 6 Indian universities are now ranked in the global top 10 for pulled scientific papers.
That's a deeply concerning metric for the quality control of scientific research coming out of their higher education system. It points to systemic issues with peer review and the pressure to publish at all costs.
On the business front, Uber veteran Prabjit Singh is taking the reins for
India is one of the world's largest digital markets, so having a local veteran like Singh is a huge advantage. He understands the regulatory landscape and how to scale tech operations in that specific market.
Let's talk markets, because there's a lot of red on the screens today, starting with some historic job cuts.
We're seeing a massive shock to the European manufacturing sector, as Volkswagen is reportedly planning historic layoffs. The numbers being discussed are staggering, with up to 100,000 workers potentially losing their jobs.
VW is struggling under the weight of incredibly high operating costs and increased competition from overseas. This massive downsizing highlights the severe structural challenges legacy carmakers face right now.
They have to fund the incredibly expensive transition to electric vehicles while their traditional combustion engine sales are slowing down. The math just isn't working out for them without making deep cuts to their workforce.
A cut of 100,000 jobs will have massive ripple effects across the entire German economy. The labor unions are already gearing up for a massive fight over these proposed layoffs.
That economic anxiety is definitely bleeding into the broader markets, with Asian stock exchanges experiencing a sharp decline today. The slide was led by a massive sell-off in technology shares as investors started panicking over inflated valuations.
It got so bad in South Korea that the Kospi index had to trigger a temporary trading halt to stop the bleeding and prevent panic selling. Whenever circuit breakers trip like that, you know the institutional anxiety is peaking.
Tech stocks have been priced for absolute perfection over the last year, and any sign of weakness is causing investors to dump their shares. The fear is that this regional tech slump is going to drag down the U.S. markets when the bell rings.
The tech sell-off is also dragging down risk assets across the board, including major cryptocurrencies. Ether, XRP, and Dogecoin are all leading a broad crypto market slide today.
This really proves how closely tied the crypto market remains to broader macroeconomic trends and traditional tech stocks. The old narrative that crypto acts as an uncorrelated safe haven completely falls apart on days like today.
Crypto is also taking a major regulatory hit, with Binance notifying European Union users that it will restrict their services. They officially failed to secure a MiCA license in Greece, which is a big deal.
MiCA is the new harmonized digital asset framework for Europe, and it's proving to be a massive hurdle. Without that compliance, global exchanges are finding themselves completely locked out of the EU market.
In a rare bright spot for the markets, SpaceX is officially set to join the Nasdaq 100 index. This marks a major milestone for the private aerospace giant.
It's fascinating because their inclusion reflects their massive valuation and growing influence, despite remaining a privately held company. It gives the public financial markets a new way to interact with the space economy.
And looking at state finances, California Governor Gavin Newsom and legislative leaders have announced a balanced budget agreement. The 2026 to 2027 budget eliminates the state's projected deficit entirely, bringing it down to $0.
They managed to secure funding for critical healthcare and public services without relying on deficit spending. It took some heavy political negotiations to get there, but avoiding cuts to core services is a major win for the administration.
Coming up on the tech side, the U.S. government takes unprecedented control over the newest AI models.
On the tech side, we're seeing a massive shift in how the government handles artificial intelligence. The U.S. government has officially decided it will regulate exactly who gets access to OpenAI's newly previewed GPT 5.6 Soul model.
Because of this intervention, OpenAI has deferred the public rollout of GPT 5.6. The government demanded early, exclusive access to evaluate the frontier AI system for national security risks.
This is a significant escalation, turning a commercial software release into a highly controlled state asset. Washington clearly views these frontier models as strategic weapons that need to be tightly managed.
It completely changes the business model for companies like OpenAI, who are used to shipping products directly to consumers. Now, they have to clear their most advanced technology through federal national security reviews first.
We're seeing the exact same dynamic play out with Anthropic's new model, Claude Mythos 5. The Trump administration just eased restrictions, allowing Anthropic to release Mythos to over 100 select U.S. organizations.
These are highly vetted, trusted domestic companies and government agencies. The administration is trying to balance national security controls with the need to maintain domestic leadership in the AI space.
By keeping the technology within a closed circle of trusted partners, they hope to prevent foreign adversaries from utilizing it. It essentially creates a two-tiered system where only approved organizations get to use the most powerful AI tools.
Moving to space exploration, NASA just awarded SpaceX an $843 million contract for a very specific job. SpaceX has to build a specialized, single-purpose spacecraft to safely deorbit the International Space Station.
The ISS is reaching the end of its operational life, and bringing a structure that massive down is incredibly dangerous. The new SpaceX machine will basically drag the station out of orbit, so it can safely burn up and crash into the Pacific Ocean.
It's a bittersweet end for a historic orbital laboratory, but it has to be done in a highly controlled manner. They absolutely cannot risk dropping debris on populated areas, which is why the contract price tag is so high.
NASA is also making headlines on Mars, where their rover just discovered complex organic matter on the surface. This is exactly the kind of chemical signature astrobiologists have been hoping to find for decades.
These complex organics provide crucial chemical clues supporting the hypothesis that Mars was once a habitable planet. It doesn't prove there was life, but it proves the biological building blocks were definitely present.
And finally, a planetary defense telescope in Chile made an incredible accidental discovery. While watching for dangerous near-Earth asteroids, it detected only the third interstellar object ever seen by humanity.
Scientists believe this sweeping comet is actually older than our entire solar system. Because it's passing through our neighborhood, researchers are getting a rare direct look at chemical compositions from deep space.
It's basically a pristine time capsule from another star system flying right past us. I love when a piece of equipment built for one specific security job ends up making a massive scientific breakthrough like this.
It just goes to show how much we still have to learn about our local stellar neighborhood.
The era of unregulated artificial intelligence is officially over as governments treat these models like national security assets.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.